A lot of people believe it's just down to genetics, but you actually may have more control over it than you think. Do you ever wonder why your veins pop out during and right after a workout? There's one food group that can literally make your veins pop within hours. A lot of people chase vascularity the wrong way. Here's why it backfires. Hello, I'm Mark Zahoff for Excalibur and Power. I'm a personal trainer with the goal of getting you from where you are to where you want to be. Today we're going to be talking about vascularity, everyone's favourite subject. That look of the veins popping in the arms, the shoulders, legs if you're really lean. A lot of people believe it's just down to genetics. Although it is a big part of it, that's not the full truth. And let's talk about that today. Because you actually may have more control over it than you think. So let's start simple. What is vascularity? It's how visible your veins are under your skin. It can help your physique look sharper and more defined. Most people notice it in the arms first. Usually, the bicep vein. That is a big achievement to unlock. And then sometimes the chest, although it's less rare, you would have to be relatively lean for that. Shoulders. Shoulders is a big one, especially in the joints there. You can get shoulder veins relatively quickly. If you have the bicep vein, then you'll probably have some sort of veinage in the shoulder area. And legs. Legs are definitely one of the harder ones to achieve, but with enough work, enough muscle mass, we'll go over it, but it's definitely achievable. Do you ever wonder why your veins pop out during and right after a workout? This is called the pump, or as Arnie says, the pump. When you're lifting weights, your muscles require more oxygen than usual, so your body sends blood rushing to the muscles to deliver them. The temporary flood of blood makes the veins expand, look bigger, and therefore making you more vascular. But here's the thing, the pump usually only lasts a few hours. That's why, if you give it enough time after the gym, you start to look flatter again. So in order to keep your veins showing all the time, you need something else. Here's where it gets really interesting. Some people are born with thinner skin, which makes them look more vascular naturally anyway, but there are multiple other factors that affect how vascular you look. So let's break them down, the main three components: leanness, muscle mass, and hydration. We'll go through each individually. The leaner you are, the less fat covers your veins. This is the biggest by far factor for most people. With more muscle mass means more blood flow. The bigger the muscles, the more oxygen required to power those muscles. So, more muscle means more veins. More muscle mass, more vascularity. They go hand in hand. So you might be extremely lean, but not really have much vascularity, because maybe you need to have more muscle mass to mean more blood rushing through those veins to expand them. And now the third, hydration. On the list, the first two are very, very important, and then hydration's probably lower down, especially for people like bodybuilders on stage. You don't really have the opportunity for hydration, unfortunately, unless you want to class 2 drips of water the day before as hydration, which any doctor usually wouldn't. But in general, good hydration means good blood circulation. There's one food group that can literally make your veins pop within hours: carbohydrates. Carbohydrates pull water literally into the muscle through a process called glycogen storage. After a high carb meal, your muscles swell slightly with water and glycogen, which pushes the veins closer to the skin, which makes you look fuller and more vascular. This effect is only temporary, and it is a part of peaking for, say, a photo shoot or obviously a bodybuilding show, where you have to time your carbs exactly. Here are 2 factors for vascularity most people ignore. First, being age. As you get older, your skin naturally thins. The thinner the skin, the more visible the veins will be, even if your muscle mass stays exactly the same. So the next time you make an unannounced visit to a care home, just have a look and see how vascular old dudes are. It's not because they're absolutely shredded or jacked, purely because of age, because the skin gets thinner. Although they might be shredded and jacked, who knows? That's the goal, man. The other factor being heat. In warm environments, so a sauna or even just hot weather, These can cause your veins to dilate and expand. This is why you may have noticed looking more vascular during the summer, or like right after a hot shower. So doing a photo shoot after an ice bath probably isn't recommended. You might want to turn the heating up if you are going to be doing a photo shoot. So if you are looking to look vascular on a holiday, I'd recommend the Bahamas over the Atlantic. But to each their own, you might really enjoy it. If you do pick the Antarctic though, hardcore man, I'm still picking the Bahamas. A lot of people chase vascularity the wrong way. Here's why it backfires. Too many people focus on the dieting part of it. Just keep on getting leaner and leaner, but then they just keep on looking flat, losing muscle mass, obviously. As you get leaner and leaner, you're going to be losing a bit of muscle each time. There are ways to prevent it, with a higher protein intake and a lower calorie deficit, but still being in a deficit. Still, you are going to lose a certain amount of muscle. So if you keep doing this to try to get vascularity, you're just going to end up in a constant loop where you just keep on chasing lower and lower body weight, and you're just totally neglecting the muscle mass that's required. Vascularity isn't just about fat loss. It's about having veins big enough to be shown. So if you're losing too much weight without having the muscle, you're just never going to have the vascularity that you want. A good balanced approach is the best way. That's why I wouldn't necessarily use vascularity as a benchmark for where you want to be necessarily, because it can sort of change over time. Body fat is a much better metric to use. Honestly, what I would recommend is having vascularity not as your main priority, but as a secondary one, because it's more of a byproduct of being where you want to be, i.e. being lean and having a lot of muscle mass. Vascularity is going to come along with that, whereas if you're chasing vascularity, you're just going to diet into oblivion, and in that time you're not going to be building muscle, so you won't even have the veins to show off anyway. If you want to be relatively vascular all the time, here's what I'd recommend. Keeping a low body fat percentage, probably up to 12%, roughly. I would say around 10 to 12. You're going to have decent veins, obviously not as much as if you went down to like 8% or even stage ready, but 10 to 12-ish, and you'll be alright. Not dieting down too quickly, because then you'll lose muscle mass. This is just general advice that I would give anyway. You want to prolong the amount of period you're in a surplus, being the smallest surplus that you can while still gaining muscle. The sort of the lean bulk approach is what I would recommend. So you're not having to diet down so much after. You spend as much time in the surplus as possible. Means as much time gaining muscle. What I would recommend when you're dieting down is keep your protein high, definitely over 1 gram per pound of body weight. Err on the side of caution, but don't go under an 800 calorie deficit. What I would recommend is around a 770 calorie deficit. Should be 0.7 kg per week, roughly, loss. You don't want to lose more than that. Any more, then you're definitely going to be eating into muscle mass. So that way, you're still lean, you're still gaining muscle mass. Another thing, staying well hydrated. That's just general great health advice. You don't even necessarily have to say, oh, I'm staying well hydrated for vascularity. It's like, I think there's a few more important reasons to stay well hydrated, whether that be skin, organ function, you know, that the minor important stuff, as opposed to how vascular you look. If you do have a special event, say a photo shoot, or stepping on stage as a bodybuilder, then definitely taking into account when you're intaking carbs. This is going to help peak your vascularity for a certain moment in time. It'll be quick and fleeting, but if you do need to peak for a certain time, then it's definitely important. But don't think, oh, I'm not vascular at all, I have no veins, I've got high body fat, no muscle, but if I carb cycle at the right time, then I'm going to have veins showing. No. It's just the cherry on top of an already good plan, already being lean, already having muscle mass. Then timing your carbs, it's the sprinklings on top, right? You cannot just rely on that. It's like, oh, I'm going to skip the gym, oh, I'm going to eat terribly, but don't worry, before the photo shoot, before the holiday, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to time my nutrients and time my carbs correctly. It's like, come on, guys. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Long-term strategy instead of hoping for short-term gain. Train hard and focus on a long-term approach. It's going to take months, if not years, to be able to build enough muscle mass to be decently vascular. It's going to take a long time. And dieting down. You're going to have to be relatively lean. Leaner than the vast majority of people. But don't think that you have to be stage ready lean, because you don't. It would definitely help, but for a long-term, overall, healthy approach, that's not what you want. We want to build a plan that's sustainable for you, and not just for a few seconds, not just for that few moments of peak. And if that is something that you're interested in, making sustainable long-term changes, go to excaliburandpower.com for coaching. Remember, sometimes when you have something as your main goal, you can't see the forest through the trees, and then you end up getting lost. Having vascularity as your main goal, I would extremely caution, because it's more of a byproduct of the rest of your plan. Have patience, there is no quick fix. Anyone who tells you, oh, just eat that or whatever and you're instantly going to become more vascular, it's just not true. Obviously taking into account your carb times, but anyone who's got the quick fix saying, oh yeah, you can be 20% body fat and you're going to be absolutely veins popping vascular, it's just not true. Unless you're going into performance enhancers, which is out of my area of expertise, and consult the law, consult your doctors. I'm not in any way encouraging that. But if that is the choice you want to make, that's up to you and the law. I'm not your dad. Go to excaliburandpower.com to lift your limits and forge your future.